LIB Future TV, giving voice to progressive Liberians, speaking about politics, entertainment, and local news.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another edition of LIB Future TV, our Monday edition. I'm glad all of you are here. Welcome to our listeners, our Facebook followers, our social media influencers. It's been a great Monday for me, at least. So let's check around the table. Let's see how things are going for everybody else. Jeff, how's Monday been for you?
Well, Monday, not bad for me. It's been great, and it's good to be here again. We thank God for another day.
Okay, that is great. Today we have a fascinating show for you. We have a great guest that's going to be coming on. We promised you that we will flood you with information, with entertainment, and with great guests. And so today we have a really good guest. So if you haven't yet, please share the show. Bring other people on, let them listen as well. Today we're going to have Dr. Clarence Moniba. For those of you who do not know Clarence Moniba, today you will get to know who Clarence Moniba is. And before you leave here, before the end of this show, you will be fully informed. First of all, we will go to our dear Lavera. Lavera, hi, how are you? Are you ready for us this Monday evening? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm okay.
Awesome. Okay. So if we're ready to go, Lavera, why don't we pass it on to you? You go ahead and bring us up to date on what's been happening in our 43,000 square miles.
Good evening and welcome to LIB Future today's trending news update with me, Lavecta Davis. ANC rallies grassroots in District 11 with football match ahead of 2029. The Alternative National Congress and political leader Alexander Cummings over the weekend visited District 11, Montserrat County. A football match at Keba Sport Page joined community members as part of ANC's national mobilization strategy to strengthen its Montserrat base ahead of 2029 elections. Cummings' wife rebukes lies from Honorable C. Koloyi Mendolo, demands facts. Mrs. Teresa Cummings, the wife of Alexander Cummings, issued a detailed rebuttal to Honorable C. Koloyi Mendolo's social media claims. The response disputed claims about an Atlanta home, clarified that Cummings' tower is actually Sabah Suites on 15th Street with 6 floors and no rooftop pool. Denied Salif hosted Cummings, demanded proof of $100 million Coca-Cola package, rejected LGBTQ allegations, and questioned why Cummings should use personal funds for infrastructure. Mendolo has not responded. However, Mrs. Teresa Cummings, wife of Alexander Cummings, rebuked Honorable C. Koloyi Mendolo's lies about her husband, after which Mendolo issued a statement saying he will go no further out of respect for Mrs. Cummings, whom he considers a mother. Exporting worth importing dependency and normalized poverty. Analysis shows Liberia's export are 65% rubber and over 74% raw materials, including iron ore, gold, diamonds, timber, and palm oil. Despite resources worth, Liberia runs a large trade deficit, importing finished goods at higher costs. The piece argues Liberia remains trapped in a raw material export economy without industrial development or local manufacturing. However, Alexander Cummings recently released a podcast emphasizing the need to change Liberia's concession regime and shift to production sharing or country ownership and processing of its own resources to end raw material dependency. Cummings defense salary donation pledge cites history of philanthropies. ANC political leader Alexander Cummings defended his pledge to donate his presidential salary if elected, calling it consistent with years of private giving. Born in Point Four, Montserrado, Cummings cited millions in philanthropies, $565,000 in medical supplies to 6 hospitals, 5.2 million Liberian dollars to Nimba Community College, wire fees for 2,322 students worth $106,000, computer labs at UL Fendale, St. Clements, and Manhattan Appeal. 5 million Liberian dollars in microloans to market women, a bridge to Tottenham University, and COVID-19 and Ebola relief. He said his record is well documented and that as president, he could scale impact to all Liberians. Salif criticizing renewed debate over free speech governance under Boubacar. Former President Helen Johnson Sirleaf criticism of the Boubacar administration has sparked debate over Articles 15 and 17 of the Constitution. Sirleaf condemned Representative Yeke Koluba's expulsion and MCC's failure to clean Monrovia. Critics say the administration is suppressing dissent, citing alleged targeting of Koluba, Prophet Key, Sirleaf, and Alexander Cummings. Loyalists have pushed back while Cummings supporters say an ANC government will welcome criticism. Senator Mwe deepened grassroots connection in Bonn with visit to Yinawoni. Senator Prince Kemo Mwe held town hall meetings in Yinawoni Clan District 2 on May 3. Residents raised concerns on education, safe drinking water, health care, and roads. Mwe pledged to push for accreditation of a locally built elementary school in Wayama and to encourage the Ministry of Public Works on denied road projects. He cited past users supported work in Gaya and promised continued advocacy with President Boubacar. No court order transfer rate shows ACP a ballot must appear not reassigned. The magisterial code did not order ACP claimant a ballot transfer code documents show. A writ of arrest issued April 28 requires a ballot to appear on a criminal coercion charge. Only the Inspector General of Minister of Justice can transfer Liberian National Police officer under the Liberian National Police Act of 2015. Government pins US $48 million agreement for asphalt pavement of 61 kilometer Kelepo Putukin John Davis Town. The Ministry of Public Works signed a $48 million agreement with China Railway, a seventh group for the 61 km Kelepo Putukin John Davis Town Road in River G County. Public Works Minister Giddens said the African Development Bank sponsored project has a 4-year construction period. Vice President Kuhn meets manufacturers to enforce Liberianization policy in distribution. Vice President Jeremiah Kuhn met manufacturers Friday to strengthen enforcement of the 2010 Investment Act, reserving distribution and retail for Liberians. Proposals include phasing out foreign distributors at G5, formerly Coca-Cola, and selecting 5 Manustin Liberian distributor per company for G5, Nikon, and Rico. Barriers like 150,000 bank guarantees were discussed. Commerce Ministry to issue guidance. However, Vice President Jeremiah Kuhn met manufacturers to enforce the Liberianization policy, But despite his portfolio covering electricity, lowering costs of goods, put to mounting concessions, and now distribution, he has shown little progress, with the recent yellow machines having minimum impact on daily life. Peace prize in hand, Bouacar gives legislature 90 days to make war crimes code law. Returning from the United States with a peace prize, President Bouacar renewed the mandate of the Office of the War and Economic Crimes Court, pledged $2 million annually, and gave the office 90 days to submit a legislative framework. Six enabling bills are started. Bouacar's directive follows popular disputes and fear of lost commitments. The move came as Jonko Jabba Mohammed Jabate exhausted a U.S. appeal in his 30-year sentence. However, President Bouacar pledged $2 million annually and gave a 90-day deadline to advance the War and Economic Crimes Court, though the United Party made it a campaign promise as one of the administration's first acts, and no real progress has been made to date. And Post resurfaces those 1984 speech criticizing Salif, accuses ex-president of destabilization. A read-up circulating online has resurfaced former head of state Samuel K. Doe's August 22, 1984 speech to the interim National Assembly, where he responded to then former Finance Minister Helen Johnson Sirleaf's criticism of government spending. Doe said his administration inherited $1 billion in debt in 1980, with 647 million accrued from 1972 to 1980, while Sirleaf held finance roles, adding, "We have no idea what it was used for." The Post also makes unverified allegations against Sirleaf, spinning decades, and references Liberia's $4.6 billion debt relief in 2010. Former President Sirleaf has now responded. Note claims in the calculator read up are allegations and have not been independently verified. Those were the latest LIB TV news updates with me, Lavetta Davis.
And with that, thank you so much, Lavetta. Thank you so much for bringing us up to date on everything that's been happening in Monrovia, Liberia. We appreciate you so much. Thank you once again. And with that, we will see you on the next show. You have a great evening now. Okay, everybody. So that's it right there. You have our dear sister Lavetta, who always eloquently provides us with the reading of all of the news that has been happening throughout the week and weekend. So before we start off this show, as I told you before, we have a great guest coming on for you today. Honorable Dr. Clarence Moniba is going to be joining us shortly, and we're going to get to know him more than we've ever known him before. We're going to have a great show, so stick with us. Share the show. If you're listening by radio, please pull others closer. Turn up your volume a little bit, and let's get this show started. Siliki, how are you? How are you doing? How is your place of the globe today?
Yeah, I'm doing good. You getting me?
Yes, I'm getting you loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Hello?
I'm getting you loud and clear, Siliki.
Okay, good. So good. Okay, good evening, Mr. Padmo, and greetings to Jefferson in the studio there. Greetings to our audience. This is Siliki. I'm joining you from Kigali, Rwanda, and looking forward to a great conversation today on the LIB Feature TV program. So if you're listening to us on the radio, I want to say good evening in Liberia. And if you're following us from the Facebook page, I want to say thank you also. Please share our live, give your input, and stay tuned to ask the tough questions when we open the phone line. Looking forward to a great show, Mr. Pablo. Thank you.
Okay, that is great. That is great. Okay, and like we promised you, We promised you that we had our guests on, and so there you go. We'll bring him on right now. Dr. Moniba, how are you this evening, sir?
I'm good. All is well. Thank you for having me. Looking forward to the conversation.
All right, great. That's great. So there you have it, people. We have live with us today Dr. Clarence K. Moniba of, is it Linu or Linu?
Linu, Liberian National
Okay.
Union. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. How's the family? Dr. Moniba?
All is good, and I think the family will also be happy because a lot of people call me Moluba, Moba, but you had it perfect, Mike. You said Moniba.
Yes,
so,
yes.
But thank God, all is well. I always say, as long as you have life, you have hope, and as long as you have hope, you have chance. So, I'm happy. Happy family is healthy. So thank God.
Awesome. All right. So, we know you're known to a lot of Liberians, but then again, you can never be too known, right? So I want to give you a few minutes just for you to reintroduce yourself to those who have not come across you, to those who are coming up. The elections were like 3 years ago now.
Yeah,
so you have a lot of 15-year-olds that are now paying attention to the political scene. So I'll give you a few minutes here to introduce yourself. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, about your background, and and why you do what you're doing.
Right. No, again, honestly, Mike, thank you so much for this opportunity just to be able to engage. I always say that there's always a platform to be able to engage in a positive manner, and that's what I think us as Liberians have to start to do. We have to start to talk about the issues, policies instead of personalities, and everything else. So. Again, I'm a proud son of the former Vice President of Liberia, Dr. Harry Moniba, and of course, my beautiful mother, Minita Moniba. From an educational standpoint, because I think it's so important for us as young people, or at least the younger generation, to become educated. And so, I'm proud to say that through academic scholarships, as well as, sports scholarships, I lived in the United States for 20 years, from 1991 until 2011, before I came back home. To Liberia. And since 2011, I've been living here in Liberia. But I'm proud to say, I was able to get 2 masters and a PhD, luckily going to one of the best universities in the world, at Harvard University. And I can always make big muff as a Liberian to say that, I'm a proud Liberian who was able to do Harvard University, to have very good grades at the university. I have my PhD in rhetoric and political professional communications. Since then, I've worked for the World Bank, on the high-level panel, post-2015 development agenda. I've worked for the African Development Bank on fragile states and trying to really sit and put together policies from an African perspective, how we can transform our continent. I've also served as the youngest Minister of State without portfolio in Liberia's history. And then also I served as the head of the President's Delivery Unit, where I oversaw a lot of the major projects in the country from 2014 to 2018, which includes, Mount Coffee Hydro, for example. Serving as the chairman of LEC at that time, I'm proud to say I was able to help to secure the $257 million serving on the Millennium Challenge Corporation. Also did a lot of overseeing of projects. So the Lofa Road that's being done right now, which should have been finished in 2020. I'm proud to say I played a negotiating role in that. Even the red light to Banga to Ganta Road, I played an oversight role on that to make sure that it was being implemented. And so even, and just to bring up to recent history, even the overpass that's being built right now, I'm proud to say that I was one of the members who was on the team that went to China to secure that funding, even though that itself should have also been started and completed by 2019, 2020. We're still doing it. But so there's a lot of stuff I'm proud to say that I've worked here in Liberia in government. But the challenge we always face in this country, if you're not on the radio cussing plenty, if you're not on the radio acting very rude and everything else, a lot of Liberian people will say, oh, but we don't know the man yet. And so, but, my job is to continue to talk to the Liberian people, not about, again, personalities, but about policies. How can we transform Liberia? Liberia has the potential, and I always say it, Liberia has the potential to be one of the greatest countries in Africa. We have the skill, we have the people, but it's just that we haven't put in place what it would take. And so that's why I always, when I engage with young people, I talk about leadership, but not just leadership, ethical leadership in this country. People with integrity, humility, people who have the passion and the courage to look for transformational change. And so I'm currently 47 years old right now, and people say, well, I have so much time ahead of me, but my thing, I have a sense of urgency. And that's what we need to have in this country. We need to have a sense of urgency in terms of development. I talked about the Lofa Road, that I was proud to have helped to bring about. But let's look at the Lofa Road. It was supposed to be completed, like I said, in 2020. We are currently in 2026, and it's still going on. There's so many other projects like that. So we need a sense of urgency, but we need our generation to now stand up, to take the responsibility, to say that I would not leave Liberia like I've met it. I would leave Liberia better tomorrow than what I found today. And so, again, thank you so much, Mike, and everybody else on this platform for the opportunity. And like I said, I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Awesome. So thank you for bringing us up to speed. That was very, very informative. What are you presently working on? What is Dr. Moneyba working on right now?
There's a lot of things, right? I'm keeping busy, but really the primary thing I'm doing is I've been traveling around the world teaching ethical leadership. Okay. So I just came from Spain and Portugal, other places in Europe, as a professional speaker, again, talking about ethical leadership. I also do a lot of training. A few months ago, I was able to train 20 different ministers and parliamentarians from 20 different countries about ethical leadership, about how they can transform, their countries and everything else. So I'm also doing a lot of trainings and leadership trainings here in Liberia. I just completed one about 2 weeks ago with about 50 young, bright Liberians. Like when you see them, you see the future of this country. And so I just, finalized a training with them. Our goal in Liberia itself is to train 1,000 young, competent, integrity-filled Liberians. And so that's what I'm working on right now, traveling around the world. This year, I've had a busy year. I've been to about 7 countries so far, teaching and giving public lectures and public speeches and public trainings. I've sat, on panels with the president of Namibia, the current vice president of Botswana. So I'm engaging people around the world, talking about Liberia, but then also training about, again, I would say ethical leadership. We don't need no more leaders. Liberia need ethical leaders, integrity, compassion, humility. Those are the type of characteristics we now need to start to lead this country. Awesome.
Liberia needs ethical leaders. You can
ethical
find a leader anywhere. Right?
Anywhere.
But the challenge is the ethical leader. Ethical leadership.
Right. And Mike, please let me just add this. A lot of times, I met with some like a group of young women today. They came to my office and we're talking about, the idea of like, why is it that when people get to political office, they change? And I said, no, they don't change. It's just that we didn't ask them what they were, what they wanted to do, or who they were, right? We put people there because of personality, because of perception, but we don't ask the real questions. In agriculture, what are you going to do? In healthcare, what are you going to do? We don't ask those questions. All we know is that the person is popular or the person has money. When we put them there, they don't deliver, then we say the man fooled us. And so again, we go back to the idea of how can we get leaders who want to serve more than they want to gain. There are good Liberians in Liberia who want to see good for this country. I always say it, almost every interview I say that, because we have the perception now in this country where people, a lot of times we have a very negative approach to politicians now. Oh, that man that won't go, that man over there, he don't want to go steal. Not everybody wants to steal. Not everybody in Liberia wants to do bad, wants to gain just for themselves. There are good Liberians in this administration. There were good Liberians in the WIA administration, as well as the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration. I'm proud to say I was one of them. And there are good Liberians in the Taylor, in the Dole, in the Tauber administration. So there are good Liberians in this country who can make a change. We just have to be very conscious on who we select to lead us.
Awesome. Okay. All right. When you talked about teaching leadership, the first thing that came to mind. And I'm just going to put this out there. I really hope and wish our our honorable legislative body will take advantage of that. Even in the great United States, after elections, when they bring on a new group of legislators, they actually go through training. They train them as educated as they are, as whatever. They train them.
Exactly.
This is what the job looks like. This is the day to day. This is how laws are written. This is how they are presented. This is how you behave yourself. Like they train them through that process. When you get hired for a new job, you could be the smartest person in the room, but you go through training. You go through training so that you're fully aware of what your responsibilities are. I hope our legislative body could take advantage of such training when it comes to things like that, so that everybody is in sync of what their duties are and how they're supposed to present themselves and what the processes look like. But I'll get off my soapbox with that. you are the guest.
But I support you, though. I support you in that that statement. To be honest,
yeah,
with
you. And not just legislative ministers, assistant ministers, deputy ministers. You can't have too many. You can't have too many.
Mike, I honestly, and if we want to keep things consistent, right? And this is some of the discussions we always have, around the world. You mentioned it 100%. In the United States, people go through training, but it's not just one time. It has to be consistent, right? It has to be to the point where if you are going through anti-corruption training, you can't just do it in 1 year and then 4 years later, you don't go back at it. It has to be a constant reminder and presence. And so this is what I talk about when we talk about Liberia, when we talk about transforming the government and how people think. We have to be very present and very active and very explicit about what we expect from the people of Liberia and our leaders. And so, yes, 100%. I know you're getting off your soapbox, but I took it from you small so that I can stand on it. It has to be constant reminders, even our police officers right now who are in the streets, right? And honestly, and I always make the argument, sometimes you can't blame them. You can't pay a person $100 and you don't pay them 2-3 months at a time, expect them to show up to work every single day. And then in the hot sun or in the rain, while they're seeing convoys go by every day, then you say, don't take money. That's what we talk about. We as leaders, we as people who want to lead, we have to be able to put ourselves in the shoes of the poor people, right? Of the market women, of the police officers, of the teachers. A couple of days ago, and I know everybody on here has seen people trying out for the military and they can barely read and write, right? Yeah. They're struggling to read those sentences, but it's not their fault. How are you going to learn? How are you going to become educated? When you're a 10-year-old child, you're an 8-year-old child, you're sitting down in the classroom on the dirt floor. No, you don't even have food to eat. There's no electricity. You slept in heat. You waking up, you sitting down in the classroom, it's raining on you, or the sun beating down on you. There's no blackboard, no books, no computer lab, no science lab, nothing. You don't even have copybook. What do you want that person to read? What do you want that person to learn? And then we turn around and say, oh, the people, we start laughing at the people. No, it's the failure of leadership to not put these people in the position. And that's the only job of leaders. But unfortunately in Liberia, how we have it right now is that it's turned around. To become rich, you go in government. It's not to serve. And these have to be some of the things that we change.
Awesome. Okay, Siddiqui, all right, turn it over to you. You have a question there for Dr. Moniba?
Sure. Greetings, Dr. Moluba. Good to see you
How are you?
again on the LIB Feature TV. Did you get me? Hello?
Yes,
I can hear you.
Yes, we are.
Okay. Again, good to see you, Dr. Moluba. So real quick, since we're already talking about the education system in Liberia, recently they have a recruitment process. So I just want to start with a quick, recent stuff with the AFL, and you had the people reading simple sentences, right? That even a primary student can read. So how, if you saw that video though, how did that make you feel that you have people in the age of 35, 25, 26, 7 going there to even read? John is going to school. They can even read these simple sentences. As somebody who was aspiring for the president, how did that make you feel? watching that video. Like, was it even necessary for the AFF folks to do that? As somebody who have vast experience in, you know, both private job and government job and all of that, do you see that being necessary to have these people recorded on Facebook?
No, absolutely, and I felt so sad to see that because, we have to be our greatest advocates. We have to be our best ambassadors. And the problem and the challenge is that the entire world will see that video. Let us not fool ourselves that every other country around the world has not seen that video. Let us not fool ourselves that Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria is not laughing at us as Liberians right now. And then we always talk about, let's. I mean, there's so many things we can talk about that video, but and I mentioned it right before you even asked that question. The thing is, we cannot blame the people who are standing there at 30, 35 years old who can barely read and write. The system has failed. Let's all be honest about it. Let's all be honest. The system itself in Liberia has failed. The educational sector in Liberia has failed. There's nothing political about that. We have to be honest. Sometimes if people hear that, they'll say, oh, that won't be. No, it's not that I just want to be president. I know for a fact that a 35, 40-year-old man should not be struggling to read a simple sentence. And if he can't, it's not because they are stupid. It's because they weren't given the opportunity to learn. Again, look at the schools. I'm so proud. In 2023, I went to 263 towns and villages in this country. I saw dozens and hundreds of schools. I walked in these schools, and when you walk in, you actually start to wonder if you are in a school or if you are in a warehouse or if you are in just a place that homeless people are living. Honestly, you can feel so bad when you see our young children sitting there on the floor. We will not educate the next generation of Liberia if we continue the status quo. There has to be serious investment in early childhood education, which is the basic and the foundation of anybody's educational system. If we don't get early childhood education right, there's no foundation for anybody to build on. And so that's what we have to take serious. When we talk about the budget, I've been a strong, I would say, hater of the budget, because I've hated the budget over I don't know how long now, because the budget of Liberia is not set up to educate the Liberian people. The budget of Liberia is not set up to feed the Liberian people. The budget of Liberia is not set up to give health care to the Liberian people. Again, I continue to always identify how much money is going to these various sectors. Somebody will say, oh, but over $100+ million going to education. No, it's not. It's going to teacher salary. That's and when you say, oh, but our education, no. When we talk about education, we're talking about what is going actually to the development of the students, right? What type of libraries do the students have? What type of computer labs do the students have? What type of environment? There's no school feeding program in this country. How can you learn as a 6, 7-year-old if you are hungry? So these are things when we talk about how do we shape the budget, we have to be able to talk about early childhood education, which is the most important step of anybody's educational journey. And then when you look at the ending part of it, right? When you look at the 10th, 11th, 12th grade years, we have to be talking about mandatory technical and vocational training for the graduates. These are things we have to be talking about if we want to transform our educational system. And the same thing, I can go on in agriculture, I can go on in healthcare, I can go on in private sector, right? In the private sector where we do absolutely nothing for the private sector of Liberia. And that's why you have foreigners dominating the economy. That's why the richest people in Liberia are 3: Lebanese, Indians, or corrupt politicians. We cannot build a country on that model. And so these are things when you start talking about the AFL people are the people who are trying to be soldiers, trying to read and write. First of all, to your point, absolutely that should not have been publicized. We are making ourselves look bad. But then, yes, we have made ourselves look bad, but what are we doing to correct it? It can't just be like, oh, y'all move that video from there. What steps are we taking now to correct that so that 5 years from now, 10 years from now, we don't have another set of 30-year-olds who can barely read a sentence?
I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you, Dada Moluba. So my next question, we kind of focus on this. a lot of young people are graduating from different universities, both in Liberia and out of Liberia. But the opportunity to want to compete in the private sector is very limited. Everybody kind of seems to drive towards government job. Even like Mr. Kumis had an interview on Monday, right? And he spoke about if even you elect somebody who is more competent, more experienced, you can't get more than 70,000 people in the government, and that's too big of a government. So you have to invest in the private sector to kind of be able to create job. What is your plans or vision to when you are given the opportunity to be the next president of Liberia? What kind of approach do you think you can embark on, at least in the first 1 or 2 years, that we can see the shift where Liberians, young Liberians, can start thinking about two not option where they can apply, they can see the active private sector, right? Basically, what is your approach to providing jobs or creating jobs for Liberians, if you're given an opportunity? What is that clear roadmap that you can lay out to them?
Again, Liberia runs a welfare state in the sense that government, when we raise more money, like this year, everybody was celebrating the fact that, oh, it's 1.2 billion. First, I hope, but I don't think we're gonna raise the 1.2 million. But when everybody was celebrating, oh, we got 1.2 billion dollars, not million, but 1.2 billion dollars. What was the response of everybody? How do we grow government? How do we hire more people? How do we bring more people to Ministry of Commerce? How do we bring more people to just to all these different government institutions? And so because of that, you cannot and you will never grow a country when the government is spending too much money on itself to sustain itself. I always say that Liberia's government is too big to succeed. Our government is too big to succeed. People should be running to the private sector to succeed. But the problem is, like I said, if you see, any nice house, any nice car is always government officials. So the young people grew up thinking, not how can I get into business? They grew up thinking, how can I get into government? So what we have to be able to do, some of that money, a lot of that money, a good portion and percentage of that money has to go to the private sector so that the common Liberian can be able to go to any bank and take out a loan. If we can get a typical Liberian who in District 5 to be able to go to the bank and say, I want to expand my business, my cook shop, I want to turn it into a restaurant. I'm selling Dunga Flair. I want to be able to have a storefront. They have to be able to go to LBDI. They have to be able to go to IB Bank or GT Bank or any of these banks and have money and have access to money. The reason why the private sector is not growing is because there's no money in terms of loans. No country, no business can truly succeed. And that's why a lot of Liberian people, the biggest market we have is Willow Market. That's it. Because the most we can be able to get that $100, $200, $300. So then it's not nothing wrong with that. But you go start selling plantain, you go start selling, fruits and vegetables because you don't have access to real money. And then the foreigners come in with $300,000, and then they invest in the business. Their profit is $500-$600 a day, when the typical Liberian's profit is $2-$3 a day. We will never close that gap. So the government now, when we're looking at the budget, the government has to be able to say, what happened? $200 million every single year goes directly to government, to private sector, and helping support private sector in this country, making sure Liberians own the economy. We cannot build Liberia if Liberians don't own the economy. This is simple. Other countries have realized that. Other countries are making sure that their citizens have access to liquidity, to money in the banks. But for us, we don't do it. For us, the more money we raise in Liberia, the more government jobs we have, the more cars we buy, the more travel we have, the more entertainment budgets we have. And so that's the problem we are facing in Liberia. And so if we continue this pace, the private sector will never grow, never grow. And when I say never, people can say never, say never. If we continue, the private sector will never grow. That's why we need transformational and fundamental change in how we think about government, how we think about spending money. A quick example, you are in Rwanda right there. The lawmakers over there make $2,000 a month. What do our lawmakers make? plus vehicles, plus $2,000 in fuel. Why is who uses $2,000 in fuel?
Yeah.
How can we justify that? So again, when I talk about ethical leadership, no ethical leader will be able to sit there and say, yes, I deserve $2,000 every month in fuel, and then I'm paying, from the same pie of money, I deserve $2,000 in fuel, $8,000 in salary, $500 in scratch card, but you only deserve $70 as a public school teacher. That's not ethical leadership. That's unpatriotic. The budget itself is unpatriotic. The leadership that we have right now is acting unpatriotic and I'm saying the word unpatriotic because that was a big word that they used a couple of weeks ago for a statement that was made. Oh, the man is unpatriotic. But the budget is not. They called all the lawmakers for 10 days. I don't know how much money they gave them to come back to do their job, but 7 or 8 of the days was spent kicking out one of their fellow comrades. And then only one day to pass a supplementary budget that most of the money went back to government pockets. How can we justify that?
Awesome. And you just leaned right into where I wanted to go. As you've seen, quite recently, the representative, Yeke Koluba, was expelled from the legislature for speech. Mm-hmm. And we've seen numerous times Senator Amara Kone was attacked for speech, and other people have been, there's this drumming of the, beating of the drums now concerning, what you say and how you can be held accountable for those things. Talk to me. I mean, we're going to be moving pretty quickly now into a political season. What are your concerns concerning the freedom of speech, especially when it comes to critiquing government?
It's a scare tactic, right? And it's really pulling our country back. Why should we be scared to say anything? As long as you're not inciting violence, as long as you're not calling violence and harm to the country, as long as you're not talking about let's go burn the Capitol, which we're still waiting for that investigation. As long as we're not talking about stuff like that, then people should be free to speak their mind, because that's what they call freedom of speech. But right now, we're starting to have, like I promise you now, what lawmaker would say anything in the House now? They'll be scared. Is that why the Liberian people elected them to go to the House, to be scared? Because we already said and established there's no private sector in the country. So these lawmakers are scared to death. Damn it, if I lose my job, how will I eat? Mm-hmm. How? And so because of that, and because of this now cloud that's coming over the country about freedom of speech and going after each other, people will be scared to speak. People will be scared to talk. And that's not the country we want. That is not the country we want.
All right. And as we move out of that, we've as producers of the show, we've reached out to several lawmakers to come on to speak, and so far we haven't been able to get them to come on. Unfortunately, we think that's where this is coming from. Lawmakers are afraid now to come on and be asked the hard questions because they fear that what might come of that.
That's what it is. That's exactly what it is, which is what we cannot afford to do in a country. Why would a lawmaker who's getting government salary be scared to come talk, about what's happening in the House, or in the Senate? Or why are government officials scared as executive members to come and speak? So these are the challenges. We are slowly retrogressing. We are slowly moving back to the days we don't want to go back to. And you all know what I'm talking about. We cannot be scared because that's how dictators come about. When people are scared to talk because of reprisal.
Okay. So there you have it. We're in an interview with Dr. Clarence K. Moniba of LINU. And we're here. We're getting to know him better. We are speaking on things that are happening right now in Liberia, both when it comes to education, it comes to the youth, healthcare, and we're going to be covering a lot of other topics. So stick with us, and definitely we will get you the answer that you are looking for. So, Dr. Moniba, let's talk a little bit about the legislature. I you continue to hear a lot of concerns from Liberians. The money that is being spent, the budget that these 73 plus 30, 103 people, are expanding. I believe next year is going to be the year of the car because yeah. I mean,
everybody getting a $45,000 car.
Yes, next year is the year of the car. Every 3 years they get $45,000, and they find money to put on top of that one to buy $100,000 cars. What is your take concerning the legislature? What has been happening, and what do you see that can really transform, the legislature that kind of bleeds into transforming the nation?
But honestly, this is where I think the executive, the president, needs to step in and step up, right? The legislatures have proven that they will not police themselves. They can't help themselves. They have proven that it's clear. They will not rein themselves in. That's why it's so important for the president, for the executive who writes the budget, right? For the executive who creates the budget, who dispenses it, who implements the budget, to be able to step in and say enough is enough. We can't, honestly, there's no way we can justify some of the things you just said. I like to use this example. I went to Namibia and I was speaking at a conference with the then vice president, who is now the president of Namibia right now. And one of their ministers picked me up from the airport. She picked me up in her government issue card. A small Toyota Corolla, those small ones that we can use as taxes here. That's what the minister proper picked me up with. In Namibia, that has 4 times as much money as ours, right? Their budget is almost $5 billion, and they only have 2 million people in their country. Wow. And this is what their minister picked me up in. So if other countries are doing this, taking this lead, why not us? So that's what I'm saying. So it's so frustrating, right? When we are talking like this, sometimes people can think I like to talk into the head of my head. No, God has blessed me. I talked about my educational background and stuff. I don't have to be in Liberia. I'm not in Liberia looking for money. I'm in Liberia looking for a better country. That's why I'm talking so much. And so, it's frustrating, right? And so that's why when you look at the legislature, I will say it again, they have proven that they are not going to rein themselves in. The executive has to take the leadership. The executive that creates the budget that sends down for their approval. You cannot, but also the executive is jammed, because how can you justify 5 or 6 political offices getting more money than JFK Hospital? You cannot. So they themselves are compromised. If the executive is doing that, what are you going to tell the lawmakers? Y'all cut down on your money, but I'm not cutting down on my money. We always talk about, salaries. Everybody praising Burkina Faso every single day. What is the salary of Burkina Faso's president? $6,000. What is the salary of our president? Honestly, I don't know.
No.
I've heard 20, I've heard 25, I've heard 22. So how can we justify that? Other countries have developed because they are using common sense mentality. One person can't eat if we want 10. One person can't eat all the food if 10 people are in the room. But right now, we are allowing one person to eat, and then the other 9 people complain. And then time for election, that one person who ate over their head, we say, go back and try again. And that's what's happening in the country. And so my frustration is that Liberia's potential is limitless, but we ourselves continue to hamstring ourselves. We continue to hold ourselves back with the same mentality that we always have in Liberia. So somebody like me, when they hear me talking, I want to support you, but people don't know you. You're talking good thing, but we have to be the ones to deliver the change that we are demanding. Nobody is going to do it for us. America's not going to fix Liberia. World Bank is not going to fix Liberia. Europe is not going to fix Liberia. Only Liberians can fix Liberia.
Awesome. Only Liberians can fix Liberia. Since we're talking about about the young people in change, when it comes to unemployment, healthcare, education, they seem to kind of just, the brunt of that falls on them. Oh, speak if you were to speak to young Liberians right now listening to you here on Facebook and Radio Land, what would you say to them? Um, like when you see them and you see what is possible, what would you say to them?
I always tell young people that they are the future that we are praying for, right? The young Liberians, you are the future that we are praying for. But guess what? Nobody is going to give it to them. I ran for president when I was 44 years old, and I remember, this young lady. She came to me. She was like, "Oh, Dr. Moniba, you're too young. Why don't you wait?" And so I just asked her a simple question. I didn't know, but I said, "Who's the best president you think is from America?" She said, "Obama." I said, "Well, he was my age when he started running for president." She said, "Oh, really?" I said, "Yes." So the idea is that the young people of Liberia, we have to believe in ourselves. And I don't even consider myself a young person no more because I'm nearing 3 years plus from now, I will be 50.
Yeah.
So I cannot keep putting myself, oh, us young people. No, but the young people of Liberia, they have to now start to believe in themselves, right? And then not only to believe in themselves, but to raise their individual standards, right? It cannot be because the person is popular, so we put them there without giving any explanations, without showing proof of concept of their background, of their character, of their history. It cannot be because a bag of rice you put the person there. So these are things we have to start to raise our standards, and then the parents of this country, we also have to raise our standards for our children as well, right? The challenge we have in Liberia is that our standards are extremely low, and you've heard this so many times, Mike. At
Yeah.
least, right? The
Yeah.
beat Lone Star 4-0. Anyway, at least we try.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the mindset that we have in this country, and that's why we have the country that we have, which is not good enough for any Liberian. There's no way you can look at in Liberia. I was driving today coming from Marshall area. There's no way you can look at in Liberia that you don't see poverty. Not one place in Liberia you can actually look and not see poverty. Even if you see a nice house, you will see Darrow right next to it.
Mhm.
You see a paved road, you will see people who are struggling to make a daily living. You will see dirt, trash heaps. I mean, honestly, and that's another thing. I was talking to somebody today that said I should mention it, which is so true. The country is getting once again so filthy. So these are things that if we are truly serious about transformation, right? How are we going to transform this country? So the young people of this country, they have to demand more. The younger generation, where I put myself in the younger generation, we have to demand more. But then we also have to realize that we not only do we have to demand more, but we have to do better. And that's why I'm always out talking and advocating. Rather than 5 people in front of me, 500 people in front of me, the same way I'm talking now is the same way I talk. Hopefully they can see the passion and the hunger for all of us to transform this country.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Moimba. Uh, yeah. You participated in the last presidential election. I want your recap. You were in it, right? So you're in it, whether from the organization to the campaign to the actual election, election day, and then the post-election, analysis. What's your recap of the whole thing? What was your experience through this?
I think the entire country wanted to, the entire country had set on two candidates. And no matter what was said, no matter the 263 towns and villages I went to, no matter the policies or the platforms I put forward, unfortunately, I think, the country was set on two people. And that's why you see, you saw the results as they were. But listen, the challenging thing in anywhere around the world, finances plays a big role in who gets elected. The unfortunate thing in Liberia is that finances plays an overwhelming role on who gets elected, right? I've had people tell me because I didn't take 500 T-shirts and there were 500 people there that did not go and vote for me because the other person next to them got t-shirt, they didn't get t-shirt, so they can't vote for me.
Wow.
I've had, like you go, you on the radio, or you talking to journalists and stuff. Like if some of them now, I would say some of y'all, and I won't say all of y'all, but some journalists said like, man, you drop nothing, I'm not playing your story. If the perception is that if you're not going and wasting money all over the place, that means you're not ready yet. I've had people tell me, it's so funny. I love when people come and tell me, the politics here, campaign here, it's all about money, right? The first thing they'll say, we need 2-3 motorbikes. We need this, we need that. So we then end up talking about that and not how do we change the country. We end up talking about how many t-shirts we can afford instead of what type of policy can fix the healthcare system in Liberia. How can we make sure that there's school feeding programs at every single government school in the country? How can we make sure that the University of Liberia, that used to be a pride of this country, is now a university that people almost don't even want to go to, right? And so the conversation for elections, right? So I always tell people, if that's the conversation, then I can challenge anybody, right? Easily. But that's not the conversation. Unfortunately, in Liberia, the conversation is first, the man won't run. What tribe he from? That's my countryman. That's it. The person is automatically qualified now to be president. We don't ask any more questions. All we know that my countryman. So these are things when you go through the campaign process and you are screaming at the top of your lungs, but people are not listening. That's when you start to pray. You say, God, when will Liberia open our eyes? When will we open our eyes to understand that we cannot be the only country that are way behind other countries that are way behind? It's frustrating to be able to see my country. Again, I've been blessed, man. I've traveled all around this world, giving speeches all around, talking to leaders. I've spoken to dozens of presidents, and the way they think, the way other people think. I was in Ghana speaking to their college students, and their approach to life, their approach to politics, their approach to how do they want to develop their country, completely different than what we have. So these are things that, when you think about it, you understand and you realize we have such a long way to go.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Based on what you've experienced, I have to ask you this question. Do you intend on pursuing another run at it with all that you've experienced through the last one?
Right. And honestly, that's a legitimate question, right? And there's a lot that goes into it. And, like you said, having gone through the organization of it, having gone through the process of it, it's, if you can see clearly, I have a lot of white hairs on my hair, which I didn't have, prior to 2023. But I would never say no to us running again. But the idea is, how can we put together a winning coalition? Right? How can people get together? Because first of all, I think it's a failure in Liberia that we have 15, 20 people running for president in such a small country, right? That in itself is a failure. And that's why also we end up becoming so tribal. Because when 15, 20 people run, it's no more about ideology. It's no more about solutions to fix the country. It's about where this man from, what region he from, who they may know, that my cousin this. And so that's what undermines the possibility of great leadership in this country. So, like, to be frank with you, we haven't made up our mind either way what we're going to do. What we are doing, though, is talking to other political leaders, other political parties, what type of coalition can come together so that we don't have 15, 20 people running for president, that we have clear choices between, for the Liberian people to choose. And that's what I would love to be a part of. How can we get people together so we don't have 15, 20 people running for president?
Awesome. I've heard quite a few political leaders speak of that. Speak of looking forward to some form of coalition, collaboration.
Our egos are too big, Mike.
That's the question I was going to come to. Is this possible? Is this possible? When you guys get into a room, the ego fills that room, and people have to be willing at that point in time to sometimes set their egos aside for the betterment of the country.
Right.
But we'll keep looking, we'll keep watching, we'll keep looking forward to it. As a young man, I always like to tell this experience. My first political experience was, I believe, 1997. Was my first political experience, and in a group of politicians that I had known even before my time decided they would come together and form a coalition to rival Charles Taylor. And as a young man, my first political experience, I went to the United Conference Center with great excitement. Finally, these people are going to come together, and they were going to prevent a warlord from becoming president of Liberia. And I went there, and sadly, these people got together and they argued among themselves, and everybody left divided. It was a harsh lesson. It was a harsh lesson, to put together. And immediately after that song that people talk about a lot, he came up, I will vote for him. It was sort of frustration.
Yeah.
That the young people sang that song for what they saw. That the people they had grown up hearing about, the Matthews, the Sawyers, the Tipotes, that these people could not come together and put their egos aside for the betterment of us, we the young people, 18, 19-year-old at the time. But anyway, like I say, so I'm looking forward. I'm hoping that we have this opportunity, this chance, once more, to be able to do this for our country.
I'm hopeful, right? I've had a lot of conversations with the main players who are on the political scene right now in Liberia, and so I'm hopeful. To see where this plays out. Everybody is saying the right thing. Right now I think there's like a legitimate 3 or 4 people, who are on stage. I hope I continue to grow into one of these people, and that's why we're doing so much work to make sure. But I've had conversations with everyone, and let's see how this looks.
Okay, all right. So I'll pass it on, Jeff. Jeff, you have a few questions here for Dr. Moniba.
Yes, Mr. Palmer, thank you. And let me say good evening, Dr. Clarence Moniba. And it's great having you. It's my first time, having a conversation with you. And let me say again, welcome to Care Radio. Just a few questions. First, I would love to ask you about a particular person, Mr. Jonathan Wieder. You know him?
Mm-hmm.
You know
Yes.
Mr. Jonathan Wieder? Okay.
Yes.
Is he a member of your of LANU? Is he a member of your party?
No. Jonathan Wieder was a member of LINU in 1997 to 2004, if I'm not mistaken. That was the dates, and then since then, I think he went on to be commissioner of at the NEC. I think almost 16 years, right? 16, 17 years. So, but yeah, I think he put in his resignation in 2004, and then since then he hasn't been. Obviously he couldn't be, as a commissioner. And when he left the commission in 2000, in 2020, no, he didn't come back to be a member.
Okay, so my question is coming this way. Recently, after Madam David Etta Brown Lassana resigned from the NEC as chairperson, and President Boakai appointed Mr. Wido to head the commission to act in that position as well, because the legislature then they were on break, and to act in the position. But then his appointment came on a serious criticism in the public, in fact, the media as well, owing to the fact that during the 2023 elections, he was seen projecting election results and going in the way, the direction of the Unity Party. And we also saw a statement coming from LANU supporting the appointment of Mr. Wido. Now, you are the political leader of LANU. From a broader perspective, a man from Elections Commission, now coming back, went into politics, coming back to serve on an appointed position. Let's hear you more on this. Why did you support this, or why do you support the appointment of Mr. Jonathan Wieder?
Okay, no, and thank you for that. There's been so much conversations around that, and my response is very simple, right? And it can take several different approaches. The first one that I continue to stand by is that I don't think there's ever been somebody more qualified, experience wise, to serve as commissioner, right? When you go from Fomoya to Kokoya to Devietta Brown, none of them had even 30% of the experience that he had under commission, having served from 2004 to 2020. So right there alone, right, justifies him going there. And more importantly, and what we always, and I always continue to say, after 16 years of serving as the commissioner, right, without any scandals, without any corruption scandals, and then he is appointed not by me, but by the president, which I don't agree with everything he does. And when he doesn't, when he says something, we come out against it. Sometimes we support it. But if somebody is nominated who has 16 years of experience in the commission and serving not just as any nominal commissioner. And one thing, I understood after this is that he was the commissioner in charge of CDC. They never complained why he was, in charge of CDC at the commission. And more importantly, this is what really gave me the confidence, because everybody was making the argument that, oh, the man is UP man. The very evidence goes against that. In 2017, when he was commissioner and co-chairman, who won the presidency? Was it not CDC? In 2014, when the son of the sitting president ran against a CDC member, an opposition member, who signed the papers, qualifying President Senator Weah at that time to win over the sitting president's son? It was him. So we can't have it both ways, right? We know, I think it was, please correct me, I think it was Kokoya who ran for legislature under the UP banner. He was then nominated as chairman of the commission. There was no complaints. Devietta Brown, we know for a fact she was a staunch supporter of CDC. She was also nominated. There was no major complaints. And the only thing about it is that once you are nominated, the law states if you are party affiliated, you have to resign. So these are all the things. When we looked at it, having him not be party affiliated, and having served the commission for 16 years with no corruption scandals, which was our big thing, no major issues, having oversaw elections that had the opposition win, I didn't see anything wrong with it. And so I decided, and we decided to speak out, because we were getting, a lot of people from the opposition were calling me, oh, let's come out with a joint statement. And that was something I didn't agree with at that time. And so I spoke on my own behalf and the party behalf. So when I say I, meaning representing Lainu and myself, spoke on the behalf of supporting the nomination. It doesn't mean we're going to support everything President Boycott does, but in this situation with this specific person, individual, we supported it. And so we came out publicly and said that.
But Dr. Moniva, all of that you just explained, at that time, at the moment, Mr. Wheeler had left Lanu long time, and he was serving the commission. At that moment, he had not joined the United Party, or he was not aligning with the party. But this time around, he was seen projecting results. And isn't that, conflicting?
When you say conflicting, in what sense?
Yeah, for him to have supported the Unity Party, even though the National Elections Commission had not, come up with the official pronouncement of results, but he had already come out with the results, and like he knew already that the Unity Party would have won the elections, and now he's been appointed by the president, the very man he projected the results in favor of.
Again, Jeff, I've done several interviews, and I always tell people I answer this question how I just did, and then I will do a follow-up. But it's not going to be my understanding from this was that he was hired as a consultant to serve in the war room of UP. My further understanding is that he asked all of the major political parties if they wanted his service as an individual, having understood the system of elections in this country. Do you need me as a private citizen to serve in your war room? And I'm told that he wrote CDC, he wrote CPP, he wrote UP, and UP responded and said yes. So in his capacity as a consultant, that's how he was responding. And so anything further than that, because I always say, we supported him based on the premise of the experience and the history of no corruption, no issues. Anything further, I think, it would be excellent. I don't know if he started his media tour yet to come on these programs. It would be excellent for him to come and kind of talk further. But that's kind of where I stand on that whole situation, to be honest with you. We supported him based on his competency, his 16 years at the commission, having overseen elections in this country where opposition beat the UP. And I think based on that, he deserved, the nomination that he received.
Okay, so I will just take you further. I don't know whether you spoke about the Salamba recently.
About what?
So I just want to take you there. It started sometimes last month, and it has gone for a very long period of time now, almost 2 months, and we're still having this conflict with Guineans coming into Liberia and hosting their flag on our soil. The young people of Lofa, they went there and they managed to host our own flag. Later on, while President Barker was in Guinea, and he had a meeting, came back and told the Liberian people, well, everything was on course, but we saw the Guineans back on the soil of Liberia. If you were a president of Liberia at that moment, or with this kind of situation on ground, what would be your best approach? How will you handle this matter?
And I think honestly, this is a failure in many respects, right? There's no other way to say this. As we speak right now, I'm told that Guineans are still on the soil of Liberians. That cannot be. Listen, President Boycott, I promise you, when he went to Guinea and came back, it was probably about $100,000 that was spent for him and his delegation to go and have meetings, right? He came back. No press conference, all that, everything would be okay. So the taxpayers' money was used to go to Guinea, to engage with their president, to come back with no solutions, no answers, but Guineans are still on the soil of Liberia. To make it worse, our speaker, our deputy speaker, they drive to the border, spend probably another $30,000 to $40,000 to $50,000 of taxpayer money to go there to find out what's happening, to come back to tell us nothing. There's been no press conference, right, from the president. This is what we want. This is why he was elected. This is what we elected the president of Liberia for, to tell us what's happening, to assure us that there should be, when are the Guineans leaving our soil? This is an act of war. Let's be clear about it. For somebody to enter your territory and put their flag up is an act of war. So if you go there and talk to the president, what is the response? What is the solution? How are we going to get it? When are Guineans going to leave the soil of Liberia? So these are questions that we still have after two high-profile delegations went to Guinea and had a discussion. So that's what I'm saying. This is a failure on so many levels. You should not be, I will just speak for myself. There's no way I can be president of Liberia, have a Guinean soldiers with military weapons on our soil, and not be able to figure the solution out, one. But two, not be able to inform the people of Liberia what's happening. We have to know. We cannot, what's going to happen next? Guinea going to take Lofa? And then Bon? And then Makibi, then next thing you know, they'll be in Monrovia. So this has to be something that's addressed, but it can only be addressed by the president. And the fact that so much money was spent, let's be honest, hundreds of thousands of dollars was spent for them to go to Guinea, for them to come back, right? For lawmakers to go to Guinea to come back, to tell us nothing. We know nothing. We know nothing. Let's be frank about that. We know nothing. Everything is speculation. Whether our mining, our illegal mining, who owned the mine, we don't know. All we know is that Guineans are still on the soil of Liberia.
Okay. Lastly, from my end, and before I go back to Dr. Mr. Patmo, recently, it's regarding the city of Monrovia. Madam Salif appeared on a local radio station, and she made several claims. Basically, the city of Monrovia. Now, you know the famous Palm Grove Cemetery Center,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, where vehicles used to travel through for the over the years, the past years.
Mm-hmm.
But in 3 years now, we've seen, that particular center street has been a no-go zone for vehicles, and it
Right.
has turned into a garbage site. Madam Salif attributed, in fact, she accused the Unity Party, the government, and specifically the city mayor, that the city is dirty and is doing nothing about it. What's your take on her statement?
I don't think I think we all can see that the city is dirty, right? Monrovia, Painesville, it's dirty. There's no other way to say it. But this is where now it goes back to the budget. How much money are we truly allocating for the budget to clean this city? And again, if I'm not mistaken, maybe there's $1 million, $1.5 million in the budget to clean the city of Monrovia. Are you serious? Are we serious? That's it probably takes $1 million per month to effectively clean the country. But yet we put $1 million for the whole year. So we ourselves, everything we do, we have to ask ourselves if we are serious. It takes millions of dollars per month to clean the city. I've been spending a lot of time in Rwanda, and when you see Rwanda, how clean it is, it's almost like you can't even fathom how clean the city of Kigali is. And then other places I've been around Rwanda, it's because there's a system, there's accountability, they support it, there's funding. But if we don't do that, if we don't take the resources needed to clean the city, right now, I saw the other day, the last weekend, I was, driving and I see people sweeping on the side of the road. What is that going to do besides making ourselves feel good? Sweeping on the side of the road, you sweeping sand, you sweeping dirt, and so yes, 100% the city is dirty, right? When you go throughout the city, all the way going towards Marshall, dirty. You go towards Red Light, dirty. You go towards Mabakle, dirty. I mean, it's dirty. But the problem is we are not addressing the solution. We are not coming up with the solution. All we're doing is giving lip service. Every couple of weeks, every couple of months, we'll do cleanup campaign. Finish. And so that's not good enough.
How do we solve them?
We have to be able to look at the budget and put real money. Like I said, to effectively clean the city, and I'm just giving a number, but I guarantee to effectively clean Monrovia and Painesville, you need probably $1 million per month. In the budget, I promise you there's no more than 1 point something million for the whole year, probably for both institutions. So how do we clean the city? How do we hire people on a daily basis? How do we get the proper machinery? We don't even have enough landfills in the country. We don't even have enough trucks to take the dirt from the city to the landfills. So how are we going to clean the city? We don't have enough trucks. We don't have enough drivers. We don't have enough landfills. We don't have enough equipment. How is the city going to be clean? So these are things as a leader, when you're sitting down saying, I want a clean city, what do we need? What does it take? Those are the questions we need to be asking from the presidential level. The legislatures, instead of $45,000 each car, what should we should be saying? How can we get enough dump trucks? How can we build enough landfills all around? What's giving us hard time? When the city is dirty, you get in one truck, you fill that truck with dirt, it drives all the way to Mount Barclay for an hour and a half, 2 hours to go dump dirt. Then you turn around, you come back. How many trips are you going to make one day? How much gas is that? So we don't even have enough places to throw the dirt in the city. That's why the typical Liberian, by the time they finish drinking something, they then open their hand, and wherever they are, that's where the dirt fall down. The country will not be clean like that. The country cannot be clean like that. So how do we solve it? We take it serious. We take the budget, and instead of 50 million going to 103 lawmakers, like Mike said, let that 50 million go towards cleaning the city. Let a majority of that money go towards cleaning the city. Let a good portion of that money go towards fixing better hospitals, JFK, where the best medical advice you can get in Liberia is buy a plane ticket and leave the country. That's the country we live in. So the country is dirty. There's no medical facilities. There's no good schools, and yet the budget, 1.2 billion or 1 billion, goes to where? The government, to build itself up. The government is too big. I will continue to say our government is too big to succeed. Point blank and simple.
Okay. You're muted, Mr. Patmo. You're muted.
We have about 10 minutes left. Jeff, do you think we could go to the phone lines and get some input from our listeners?
Yeah, sure, we can do that.
Absolutely.
Well, folks, if you're listening, this is the program LIB Future TV here on 95.9. Today is Monday. We have as our guest the political leader of LANU. His name is Dr. Clarence Moniba. It's time that we interact with you out there. 0777 959 959 0777 959 959 0889 283938 0889283938. WhatsApp +231 777 959 959. Please make sure you far away from your monitor or you just lower it so that we don't get feedback here this evening, right? So Dr. Clarence Moniba is our guest on the show tonight. This person, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Your name and where you call from?
I'm calling us on Lynn Street.
Let's hear you.
Firstly, I want to appreciate Dr. Clarence Moniba for his exact view. You know, I'm a youth, and then I'm looking at our economy, especially for we who want to do business. It is actually getting tough for us. We are like doing for hand to mouth business. You know, we cannot have access to the bank like what he said. Nothing like that, no loan, nothing. Sometimes we work in a country out for just a small package change. You know, we even trying to start to build ourselves up, but just still no bike up. So I actually want to appreciate him for his time, and then I pray that God gives me the strength and long age so that he can continue his job.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you very much.
Person, this overseas call. Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening, and thank you for accepting my call. This is Lofa Julius. Let me say, good evening to my brother in studio, Clarence. Your brother, I would have loved to speak Loma Agbandi, but unfortunately, so we can't get into that. But
How are you?
Tremendous, and I'm just gonna say to you, for all of the advocacy and consistency in the message, I want to thank you for doing that and continue to work in the interest of Mama Liberia. That's what I really wanted to say to you. As a young man, you continue to elevate the conversation and you represent the interests of the next generation of people. Thank you, Clarence. Keep doing what you're doing, brother.
Thank you so much, Lofa Julie. We need to talk. Thank you so much.
Okay, 0777 959 959. That's the local line. 0777 959 959. Good evening. Oh, we lost you there. 889-283938. That's the MTN line. 0889-283938. And the orange number 0777 959 959. Our guest is Dr. Clarence Moniba. He's here, and we highlighted a lot of issues. All right, let's go back and get you. Good evening, Mohammed Donzo. Welcome.
Yeah, good evening, Jeff.
You're very low, Mohammed.
Yeah, you getting me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, Jeff, and good evening to your panelists. Well, Jeff, I really, enjoy you guys, discussion. Mr. Moliba, thank you for, deliberation. Well, I got a question for you, and I want to disagree with you on some about gender widow. You are saying that you agree with gender widow. He left your party since 2004, and which are the party that he really aligned with? When they said that he went back to the commission to have to be a commission within the commission, but he didn't say that he had a party. And then you said that in 2014, and when President Weah was running for Central, he said that a gender widow was a sedition and he was a consent for CDC. I want to disagree with you on that. And hello.
Okay, yes. Just wrap up quick. We got to take other people, Mohammed. Okay, he left. Good evening.
I will clarify that for
Yeah,
Mohammed.
good evening.
Yes. Your name and where you come from?
I'm Hastings Kama calling from the borough of Nikutan.
Let's say you Hastings.
Again, let me say good evening to Dr. Moluba.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I listen to you leftively. I want to appreciate you for the explanation. But then there's the question I want to ask. Between these two, what do you think will be the remedy? Because many of us now, we are thinking about the development of Liberia. And people are saying making Negro citizen will be the remedy to develop Liberia, and then giving the economy back or giving the economy to Liberians. Which one of these two you think will develop Liberia?
Please repeat that again. Which of the two?
Yeah. You want to repeat your question?
Yeah, it is a question I'm asking.
Yeah, repeat
I should repeat?
Yes.
Okay. I said, when it comes to the development of Liberia, which one of these two will be the remedy of developing Liberia? Making non-Negro citizens, and then giving the economy to Liberians.
You said non-Negro citizens?
Yes.
Okay, I got it. Okay.
All right. Okay, just listen. Let me 0777959 0777959 959 plus 231 7777959 959 0889283938. Good evening. Good evening. Hello. Okay, we lost this person as well. Yes. Do we go back to Dr. Maniba while we wait course?
Okay. All right, Dr. Maniba, I won't give you an opportunity to reply to the comments and the questions that you heard.
Okay. No, I think I just wanted to give some clarity. Somebody said something about, I don't think I said that Guido was part of the CDC in 2014. What I said was that he was the commissioner, that how the commission is set up is that they have 7 commissioners, and each commissioner is responsible for 3 to 4 or 5 political parties. And Jonathan Guido was responsible for CDC. If there was any issues that CDC had, they would report and funnel it to him. So my point was that in 2014, right, Guido was an acting and a very active commissioner of the NEC when CDC was able to, President Weah, who was Senator Weah at that time, was able to beat the son of a sitting president. I think that showed volumes, right, to his integrity. And then the same thing in 2017 as well, when the opposition party was able to unseat this very same president that is now. The opposition was able to beat President Boyka in 2017. So based on those things, right, based on the fact that he held a national position and the opposition was able to win. Based on that, plus the fact that there was no integrity issues during his 16 years, that's why we felt the confidence to endorse him. The second question was, what's more important to get the economy, the private sector of Liberia up and running? Money needs to be in the hand of Liberians, right? Yeah, I understand the non-Negro thing, but what's more important? Right? It doesn't matter who comes in this country. As long as Liberians have money in their hand to invest in their own country, in our own country, as long as Liberians are the ones with factories and restaurants. Let's look at the best restaurants in Liberia. It's not owned by Liberians. Let's look at the best car dealerships in Liberia. They are not owned by Liberians. Let's look at the biggest factories in Liberia. They are not owned by Liberians. So because of that, Liberia will never develop. And so if we want to transform this country, we need to be able to take some of this budget that's going to buy $45,000 vehicles and going $500,000 for speaker entertainment and $20 million for Ministry of State and everything else. That money needs to go directly to the people of Liberia to open businesses, to build their businesses, to expand their businesses, to train business owners, to train people about financial management. And that's what will transform this country. That's the only thing that will transform this country. So money needs to be in the hands of Liberians for Liberia to thrive.
Okay.
All right. If we don't have any other callers, I promise you that we're not going to take more than an hour and a half of your time. We
Can I take this
appreciate.
question?
We'll take one last one, and that's it. One last one.
Good evening. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Hello, you're very low.
You getting me now?
You're very low. We're not getting you.
Good evening. You getting me?
No, we can't get you at all. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, your name. Where you come from? Can you hear him?
Yes,
I can hear him.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Jerry Taylor. I'm calling.
Okay, Jared, quickly.
Yeah, what Dr. Morgan said is very odd because the sector of sensation. You cannot, one of the trucks, if you catering or like to carry there to the city, sometimes you catering truck every day, you spend in the 500 on each truck. If you get 20 trucks, you don't know how much you pay. So the money is very odd. The money that they are getting to, they have to increase it. So let the hospital to area increase it. And if people not play market, the other city is FDA, the place is still already. So all those things, they have to open the avenue before the garbage goes. So thank you for what you said, Dr. Nova.
Okay, thank you. Let me put this person. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, your name. Where you call from?
My name is Marcus Congo, and I'm calling you from Peace Island community, Congo Town.
Let's say you, Marcus.
Yeah, good. The cleaner of a country, it just depends on every one of us. But if the country is dirty, it is the opposition community that making the country so dirty.
Why would you say so?
Even if the government, the current government, put in some money, the opposition community will always, be the opposite. They will always, be opposite to every, rule. The government will make so that it will give the citizen the right or the privilege to continue to dirty the street. So I don't want for the street girls to say that it is the government.
So that only opposition get there in this country. Only opposition can make that.
It is not the opposition.
But you just said it.
When the government make in put in put mandate, then the opposition community now will go against it. Because for instance,
what mandate did they put?
From the opposition community, if anything I do there, if the government want to take any decision against me, then the opposition community will go against that the decision of the government. There's a reason for which I'm saying this.
Thank you, my
yes.
man.
All right. Okay. All right. I think we're good right now.
Yeah, man.
Here's somebody else calling. If y'all want to do it, that's fine.
Do we have another caller?
Yeah, let me put this person through.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, your name, where you come from?
My name is Isaac. We are calling for District 14.
Yes, Isaac. Go ahead quickly.
Yeah, man. That call I'm moving on. I mean, what you say?
You didn't make yeah.
Yeah, we talk about we are. Yeah, thank you. You're in the studio. What I say is that I leave the city that will be clean. But what we see here now, for me, the city corporation do, they're not doing it. Now, the city corporation, the people just going in and taking people material, taking people goods. The way someone do, they're not doing it. They're looking at the dirty person, like, guess what? They money there. They put the death parking there, the man leave there, who start running, they're smoking there. The way they go, smoking in the thing. Right now, you can see that there is security there and
okay.
All I'm thinking, I say that two years in, I want to move on.
No. I'll just squeeze you in this last person, then we'll go back to Dr. Moniba.
Yeah, Jefferson.
Yeah, don't so?
Yeah. I got a question for Mr. Malu. Mr. Maluba, during your deliberation, you said that you are part of the road construction from Salaye to Lofa, and you said that 2022. I wanted to the audience that who initiated that road and who put the fund over for that road.
Okay.
For the Lofa road, for the Banga to Salaye road, right? Konya.
Yeah, that will be honorable cause.
Right. So that road was initiated in 2015. We did several, negotiations throughout the entire year of 2016. Even the current Minister of Public Works, Giddings, was part of that negotiations at that time. But it was negotiated under President Sirleaf. It broke ground in December 2016, if y'all remember, um, and it should have been completed in 2020 of 2020. So 2.5 years later, it should have been completed. Here we are in 2026 now, and we are still working on that same road. So that's why I talk about the sense of urgency. So that road is funded in part by grants and by loans by several Middle East partners that we have. But they are Bank of African Development, Saudi, Kuwait. Those are the institutions and countries that are funding that road. And then of course, also the government of Liberia. And the reason why it's been so delayed is because the government of Liberia was supposed to put certain money up front to show our commitment and dedication to building that road. And then our partners were going to come on later, which was never done for several years. Hence the delay that we have right now in the country on building a road that should have taken 2 years, and we are now going on 10 years.
All right. Okay. So I have one caller here. He was trying to get through, and he had my number, and so he decided to bypass the system. But we'll let him go this time. We'll let him go this time. Caller, are you there? Why don't you tell us your name and where you're calling from?
Lord Scott, I'm calling from Brattlesville, Maryland. How are you?
We're good. We're good. Go ahead and state
No,
your
I
point.
just want to make one or two observations. First of all, Dr. Moniba, thank you for your very clear and direct, roadmap for where we need to move the country forward. Michael, as you know, I did work for Dr. Moniba in 2023, so I'm not going to pretend to be a neutral arbiter, but I'm also involved in his business because I believe in certainly a better Liberia, a new Liberia. And one of the things that they've always gone after Dr. Moniba for lately is, why did you applaud the government when the government did this, right? So we can't be in a country where you can be 100% opposition and 100% government supporter. Look, we're human beings. We are animals of a certain trade. So where the government did a good thing and they appointed somebody, in fact, I'm very proud to know that my generation can recognize somebody who came along before we were actively involved in the process of governance and recognize somebody. And so I'm very, very proud that, look, we can say this was a good appointment to the NEC. Now let's hold the government's feet forward. Feet to the fire. And that's where I would charge my brother, Dr. Moniba, we're doing to say, okay, now that you've gone publicly and you've congratulated with now we have to hold the feet to the fire to make sure that the process works for the Liberian people. I'm also happy that he's been able to explain the level of development in the country, where things started, where we are, and how far we have to go. Michael, I couldn't be more appreciative to you or all of you and your platform. And I want to applaud you and encourage you to continue to do the good work. And within the not too distant future, I think you begin to break through into more, environments, communities, chat groups than others have. Congratulations. And again, thank you, Dr. Moniba, for coming on board.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. See, I let him in so he had to brown nose it a little bit. But that's good, eh? I know. So it's time is fast spent. Doc, I'll give you your platform now. You can go ahead and do a short closing for our listening and our social media audience.
No, again, Mike, thank you so much, and Jeff, thank you so much for having me on. And what Lloyd said is true. We can't always be opposition, and we can't always be supportive. We have to be real. We have to have reality. When we see something good, we say it. When we see something bad, we say it. And that's the only way that we can change our country. Talking about the city being dirty. It's a very hot spot, right? Everybody talks about it. But let's also be honest. Are we putting the facilities in place to make the city clean? Is the city corporation getting enough money in their budget to buy the trucks that one of the callers talked about? Yes, it's $500 to rent those trucks. How many trucks are we renting per day? How can we clean the city if we are not dedicated and we are not taking the funding to support the city corporation to do the work? So these are things that we have to be very careful of. Yes, we have to criticize, but then the next step to criticism is to make sure there's something put in place. And this is now the failure of the executive. This is the failure of the legislature to make sure that the people of Liberia have the tools to develop the country, to clean the country, to build the country. And so the reason why we continue to advocate so much, it's not, I'm not getting money for this. I'm not getting paid for this. But the idea is there has to be people who talk about where this country needs to go, where this country must go, so that the future generations, the generations that are following us, our generation, which is the younger generation, and the younger people can have a better country tomorrow. So we will continue to fight no matter how dark the road may be. Right? There has to be people who continue to hold not only government feet to the fire, but the people of Liberia feet to the fire. Let us raise our standards. We can no longer vote for somebody because they are popular. We can no longer vote for somebody because they've been around for a long time. We have to hold people accountable to how we are going to change this country. What are they going to do? What are their character? What is their background? These are questions we need to be asking, and less that my interests, that my tribe, that my countrymen. These are the things that's undermining the very tenets of Liberia's success. And if we are going to transform Liberia, which it will happen in our lifetime, we now all must join hands together and start to develop this country. So again, thank you so much for this opportunity just to be able to talk to the people of Liberia, for the people who listen. Listen, Liberia is going to get better, and all of us must play a part. Thank you again so much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Moniba. And like I say to our guests that come, you are now a part of the Liberia Future TV Care Radio family. We are here for you. And ever you want to come back on again, if you have something else that you want to present to the Liberian people, we will definitely find the space and the time for you to do that. Other than that, we will keep in touch as we move forward, and we try to move Liberia forward. Thank you so much again for giving us your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. God bless. Thank you.
Have a great evening.
All right, you as well. Thank you.
And there you have it, people. We had on here Dr. Clarence K. Moniba, the political leader of LINU, and he kind of broke it down, what his outlook for the country was, for the future of the country is, and what he feels, where we're headed, and how we need to make a change on such. It's been a great time with him. We're hoping that we continue to bring guests like this to you, so that you're fully informed of what's happening to your country, to your leadership, to your leaders, to your future leaders, and that so that you can make informed decisions in the future. It's most important that happens. Jeff, man, it's been a great time with you, hanging out with you and stuff like that. I was listening to the callers. That guy about the cleaning the city, I don't know where he came from. Man, come, you gotta do better than that, man. I mean,
that's the opposition. Opposition.
Come on now, you gotta do better. I know you could tell that he wanted to come with something, but he couldn't find anything. He said, "Oh, they're finding." Wow, yeah, it's crazy, man. But there you go. We had the interview with Dr. Moniba.
It was a great one.
I knew his father. When I was growing up, his father was vice president. Another doctor, too, Dr. Moniba. So I knew, I knew of his father. And to see him, rise up such a clear-sighted young man, it makes me feel good about our generation of people. But yeah, let me hear your intake on, what you think about the interview.
Yeah. So, Dr. Moniba, he made some salient points, as a matter of fact, and almost all of what he highlighted are just things that Liberia is struggling to have right now. He talked about the budget, and this is something that we've talked on over and over. I mean, lawmakers getting all of the money that they will put in the budget, the money goes back into their own pockets, and with the country just not benefiting. Imagine $45,000 vehicle for just one person in 3 years, and another three
And
years.
this year, Chief,
Yeah,
2027.
yeah,
Eagle
they
year.
they get one more. And imagine, so I mean, it's just wasteful spendings. Yeah, wasteful spendings. You getting somebody's crash cards, you giving them money for entertainment, and why the old man in Bokonjide, in Kawakian, in Jeribo, she can't even she barely has money to send her kids to school. The schools in the rural parts, they all damaged. Imagine a whole classroom, three, four, five classrooms to one teacher, and students are sitting on the floor just to learn the work distances to go to school. Bad roads become a challenge to them. So like we went to Grand Bassa with ability, and the very first time, if they have not seen cars, they have not seen cars. Somebody had to walk distances to come, and somebody goes to school through sixth grade, no nothing to do. They just go back on the farm. So all of these things are just the present day realities confronting our beloved country. So Liberia needs a leader with that innovation. It's not Liberia does not need, I mean, politicians now, people who can't just make, with rhetorics and what have you. And then when you have people who can't be and bullocking them and be saying, look at what this scholar said, that well, it is opposition that can dirty the city, or government says only opposition. I mean, what is this? When people are being blinded by all of these things, they don't know what to say. But this country needs total reform. It needs a total overhaul. Some like one caller who always call here and says that Liberia needs workshop. The whole country needs workshop. Yeah. So I mean, it was a great show, and we hope to have, I mean, these conversations over and over again. With these politicians, these people who want to be president of the country. We hope to have these conversations over and over. But it was a great show, Mr. Patmo. It was a wonderful show, and I enjoyed the conversation with Dr. Moniba. And of course, we hope again, as time goes by, we'll have him here on LIB Future TV as well.
Absolutely, man. And talking about the budget, let me look. I don't know if people know this. Do you know that representatives in the U.S., especially freshman representatives, do you know they can share apartment?
Wow.
Yes. People that share apartment, they will get together. Let's say if you from Lofa and I'm from Lofa, we both are representative. We'll get together and say, man, we'll find kind of 2-bedroom apartment. You take one bedroom, I take one bedroom, we'll share the rent. This is in America. They don't share apartment in Washington, D.C. In Liberia, they put building mansions. I don't understand the great U.S., the people sharing apartment.
Wow.
Yes, U.S. representatives sharing apartment. You see?
Liberia,
Liberia, I beg you, man. We'll be her in Morea, we'll be her in Lofa. Two mansions. That what we'll do. And if you're male there, we'll be more again. It's crazy, man. But yeah, that's what I like to bring this in, because when people know these things, then they can sit down and be like, wow, if this is truly happening, if anybody doubts me, that way everybody get phone in their hand. Just go to Google. Just Google. Say US freshman representatives share housing. They will start showing the list of the number of people that share housing. Just because, this is what they go through. It's service. You're serving. You're serving. But that's what they go through. And then in Liberia, a poor country, God forbid, what? Some of them don't even have cars.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them do not own cars. They wake up in the morning, they get dressed. They either walk to work or they take the train to work. That's what they do. They take public transportation to work. They don't own cars. Or if they get one car, right? So they leave the car to the house for the wife and the family. And then they take the train. Or they walk, if they're close enough, they walk the blocks to the capital. That's what they do. But if these people can do this, look at their country. Look how far they've come. If they can do it, then what wrong with our own people who can't do it?
Yeah.
Why we can't do that? Why we can't do that?
It's selfishness.
But there you have it, man. Look, it was a great show. We had a great time. We had great callers. I want to encourage our callers there. Guys, keep listening in, keep calling in. We do this for you. This is why we take our time and come here, so that we can bring you the information and that you can fully participate, in the program. So we want to encourage you to keep calling. Even our guy that talked about the opposition poll creating the debt, please, I beg you, call again. We beg you, okay? Don't. Yeah, we just messing with you, Chief. Go ahead. You call anytime. We'll pull you through, and you will state your position. That is why you tell your own, and we'll tell our own, and then in the end, like Brentpo will decide. But that's what we have so far. I'm good. If you are good, Jeff, we can take it on from here. Okay. And you guys have a great rest of the week. Next week we'll be back. We'll have another great guest again next week. We'll keep it coming. We'll have another great guest. I will not say what it is right now. Watch out for the flyers. People, watch out for the announcement, and you will definitely get it before us. Okay. Until then, Jeff, you be safe, man. Have a great week.
Okay, you too.
All right then.
LIB, stand up. Take me back to Liberia, where the drums still play my song. Take me back to my homeland. It's the place where I belong.
LIB Future TV, giving voice to progressive Liberians, speaking about politics, entertainment, and local news.